What kind of stuff are they giving you the most trouble about in terms of censorship? Is
Like,
nudity or
like
language?
waking up.
Just getting out of bed in the morning?
They just have it in their minds that they want to hire somebody, but they don't want any communication made. You know, they want to like make you into something. I don't know. It's like, I guess it goes into white homes. They're worried about that a lot.
What do they? Yeah, you know, it's funny. Gwen Barrett, our associate producer, or sometime producer, is black. You know, and Carmen Matias is
You
Hispanic.
have to be colored to be on television. You can't,
Yeah, colored.
Yes, you can't be black. You have to have a little colored in there. Just a taste.
Tad.
Yeah, just to keep it interesting for America.
Yeah. Well, she said, we were talking about your humor, that your humor offends white people. And I'm not that easily offended. Like, I'm not coming from a spot where Richard Pryor is going to offend me. I think you have humor that makes us see a lot of the truth and laugh at things we wouldn't normally laugh at. I think that's part of what you're doing. What do you think that these executives are afraid you're going to do to white America?
Probably stop some racism.
Stop racism.
The game, because this is yeah. So I'm gonna actually bring up the game, cut off the fucking art stream because I'm fucking tired and this is only a rough draft right now. It is only. Do you know what? Look. You're probably the same. What is it? Latitude that I am. Yeah, you're probably the same latitude that I am. It's 6:30 and it looks like it's 12 o'clock at fucking night.
Yeah, I'm in the same time zone. It's fall.
I don't like this shit.
Yeah, I hate it. There's so like for some people it actually gives them some people get depressed specifically during the fall and winter months because of how early the daylight ends.
No, sad.
So
they get sad, and I'm not saying it dismissively. It's seasonal affective disorder.
yeah.
Like, yeah.
Used to think I had that, but it turns out I just had like year-round clinical depression.
Hey, did you know that it's been 100 years, maybe 130, since the last president with a full beard?
Well, that's an interesting fact. I'm still in a stream chat right now.
Okay.
But thank you for the tidbit.
It's been 90 since the last one with a mustache.
Huh.
Teddy. It's been Teddy. It's Teddy. I know it's Teddy. Because Wilson was clean cut. It was Teddy. Teddy was a shit person, but he was like, yo, I know I'm a shit person. And he did some shit to actually make him be less of a shit person. So I respect him for it. But yeah, Teddy was a shit person sometimes. He started a fucking war by accident. Which, like, yeah, you can actually accidentally a few wars. But he realized that, you know, sometimes we gotta try to fix mistakes. And he went back on a lot of different things. He went back on a lot of things and he was like, in hindsight, I fucked up. So I respect it. My second favorite Roosevelt president. Talk about first Roosevelt, FDR, who was legit a class traitor from the like shit that he did. He was literally a class traitor. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. So Teddy Roosevelt actually had a daughter named Alice, who was about 17 when she started becoming known for her wild and controversial behavior.
And what was that?
She smoked cigarettes in public, rode in cars with men, stayed out late partying, all of which at the time were absolutely fucking unheard of for women, especially a 17-year-old girl. She had a pet snake named Emily Spinach, and was also seen gambling at one point.
Oh my.
Yeah.
I think with somebody like Teddy Roosevelt, like, I don't think he fucking cared that much. Even when it came to his political career, it's just like, don't kill nobody.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what happened to some of the presidents? Just like, I know this is a bad return to form, but presidents don't have to be perfect. Um, Trump definitely wasn't in his personal life, but like that is just that was the extreme of not being perfect. That's like
Yeah.
actively destructive. Oh shit! Let me change the stream chat title while I'm at it. But yeah, shit. Like, I can rock with a president. Like, the Bush girls actually did crazy shit, but
Yeah.
like, I don't.
I feel. Oh, go ahead.
I was just like, I don't know. I was just like, I just, yeah, some of the shit just been crazy. But go ahead.
I feel bad for like the children of presidents because you're under so much scrutiny. I feel bad for the children of presidents who are actually like still actual children. I think after they reach after they've been adults for a little while, I think, it's not going to be quite as impactful, but like to be in the public eye near constantly and to have to watch your behavior so much because it could reflect on your parent who is leading the nation, that's got to be stressful as hell. And like the Obama daughters probably got the worst of it for reasons.
Okay, I'm gonna let that one go. You just said reasons. Like, oh my god, I know exactly what you mean, but it was just hilarious. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, like they also had, they were probably under even more, they were heavily because of, racism. Yeah. And like that's the thing. That's one of those things that like for a 17-year-old to do that, not great. I definitely couldn't get away with underage drinking at that age. But for the vast majority of people, like you do some dumb shit at 17, nobody's going to know. They're all going to forget it in like a year or two. If you're the child of a president, that's the rest of your life.
This is true. I think that's one of the reasons why, like, mentally whole people and smart people really don't run for president. I'm not saying that like all presidents have some sort of defect with them, but like you have to really want to actually help the world, or you have to be a fucking narcissist in order to want to be president. Like, you have to not hate yourself, but you have to be cool with being deprivated for however long, at least 4 years, most likely 6 years, to actually be president.
Yeah, you do have to be pretty damn desensitized to a lot of messed up shit to be able to, like, be at the head of this uh, raging imperialist war machine that we live in.
Like I'm not gonna lie, like I understand why people like Corbyn and Bernie wanted to be respective heads of state because they are those people who like they've heard shit their whole lives, and so there's like, oh well, you know, we're just gonna fucking do it, and it's just like it's just one of those things where it's just like, but I don't if Obama really wanted to be like outside of his public advocacy that was being done um when he was state senator. I don't know if he like after the 2004 Democratic convention speech. I think he got a little bit too inflated with his own ego. You know what I mean?
I mean, at the end of it all, he really wasn't, like, as an individual, his actual policies weren't very revolutionary.
This is true. This is true.
I'm not actually very familiar with his pre-presidential history.
I think
I think it's... Oh, go ahead.
I think he got a lot of people around him in 2004 that kind of like dissuaded him from actually helping people move more to having his own star rise. And it's like indicative of what you see with like he cared a lot about his own reelection, but when it came to like winning state houses or seats in Congress or seats in the Senate, he just wasn't there.
Yeah.
But go ahead, I interrupt you.
No, you're fine. I don't think it's impossible. Like, I'm not saying there's never been anyone who has wanted to be president for altruistic reasons, but I think someone who fully 100% understands our country and how it works and how the system props itself up is going to know that you can't exactly change it by participating in it.
So
I mean, you can make incremental changes by participating, but your end goal has to be something that functions differently from what we have now.
I get that, and I hear that from a lot of leftists that electoral politics aren't all that aren't the end all and be all. And so what they do is, and like I was watching, I don't know if you've heard know who American Johnson is from Non Compete, but he was making that same thing of saying, well, I'm tired of people trying to think electoral politics are the only way, and we should stop using electoral politics. And I'm like, I get it, like fuck, electoral politics aren't fucking awesome, but what are you gonna do? Like for real, what are you going to do? Because lefties, people who are on the left, and I count myself as one of them, aren't the majority of the country. They're
Yeah.
the are because we live in these online bubbles. Like I looked at my mother, who I went over her house to help her with something, and I looked at the what are on TV, the commercials that are on TV, which most people still get their news from, and it is a night and day difference. Night and day difference.
Yeah.
And a lot of us lefties don't realize that because they think, well, of course everybody's online. Everybody's cut the cord because cable is just shit. And it's just like, I've seen the shit. Which you think that people know, you're participating in the same kind of inference that the fucking that you accuse the Republicans of doing, of paying attention to their own facts. Now, yes, okay, I get it. You know, people on the left actually do more research, more scientific research, or at least pay attention to the sciences a little bit better. But that doesn't make us immune from our own biases. And I'm sorry, a lot of lefties just they and I hate to steal a Destiny quote, but they're LARPing. They are literally LARPing and think like, yeah, we're gonna take over the country with the revolution. What country? What fucking country are you gonna try to take over with the revolution? You can't just you can't just shit on liberals and expect them to just like, well, we're right because we have all the facts on us. Like, no, people are tying their identity to a lot of the shit that they believe, and just shitting on them is gonna have the same effect as shitting on you about your beliefs. But go ahead.
I
I'm long-winded. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. I'm kind of young. I'm still like figuring stuff out. I think the end goal we should work towards is a completely different system. But I also kind of, you know, this is gonna sound like some hippie bullshit, but I don't really I don't want a war. I think that hurting people sounds like it kind of sucks. So, like, I'm a little creeped out by people who are excited at the prospect of violent revolution. And, like, I get, like, the appeal. I mean, I get the catharsis of, talking about, fire and war and all that. I've literally, like, at one point, fervently detailed to one of my roommates how I think I could probably take Ben Shapiro in a fight, which I probably could. It's a really low bar. He's not a very large man. And I think, like, the first time you punch him in the nose, he would kind of just cower away, because I think his entire problem is he's not really expecting someone to come at him.
A toddler can actually take Ben Shapiro in a fight. Literally, he has literally said that he's worried that his kids will attack him and his wife. So you're not that far away from that.
Good God, if he's worried about his kids attacking him and his wife, then it kind of, I think that says to me that maybe he's a really shitty father, and he knows it's gonna come back to bite him in a very physical way. Like, he definitely seems like the kind of guy who would just make the most fucking insufferable father, and you'd either come out of it completely indoctrinated, or, like, you'd come out of Ben Shapiro being your father as the biggest lefty in the whole universe. You'd, like, essentially adopt the John Mulaney method of taking every story from your childhood and turning it into a stand-up routine, because what else could you do, really?
No, I just, for me, like, some of these fucking conservatives, and I want to preface, not even some of the conservatives, some of these quote unquote figureheads that they have are just plain fucking idiotic. They're just fucking plain idiotic, and you don't know if they're doing it for a check or if they're true believers. Like Tucker Carlson, he's somewhat of a true believer, but he's a fucking white nationalist. So yeah, yeah.
Ugh.
Um, Sean Hannity, I think he was started as a grifter, but now he's starting to drink the Flavor Aid. I really
Yeah.
think he's starting to drink the flavor A because he makes too much of his money on it. Makes too much of his money on it. And that's the thing. When you're making your money on something, you tend to start believing the shit. Oh shit.
Where was I before I got off on a tangent about snapping Ben Shapiro's weird uncooked spaghetti neck?
Oh, but you know
Oh,
what?
right, Revolution.
His sister has some great assets.
She's just not my type of girl, really. And also, oh boy, I could go off on a tangent about like the really tiny petty things that annoy me on like an intense personal level, but I want to finish the previous thought I
Go
had
ahead.
first.
Go ahead. I'm sorry to disrupt you. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. Um, like I very much think the current system we have has to change. This can't be all it is. But I also kind of, if we can get there without a violent revolution, I think that'd be just swell. I'm not against like physically defending yourself against
Tyranny.
bigoted attacks. I'm extremely for that. But I don't know. I don't really trust anyone who's like actually elated at the prospect of a large violent affair. I think it's healthy and normal for human beings to be extremely uncomfortable with the prospect of causing each other pain. I think someone who's like too comfortable with the prospect of physically harming or killing someone is a little bit creepy.
It's authoritarian. There are
Yeah.
fucking like it. Not to do the whole both sides thing. But if you are on the left and want to force people to believe shit that you believe, that's still authoritarian. Dress it up as you want. You're still you're still against the concept of liberty. You're against the concept of making sure everybody have a you know a equality of opportunity because you want to
Yeah.
impose your whole thing. Like that's one of the things that I hate about the woke skulls. It's no, you have to do this. It's like, wait, what? And it weakens the left's position because then you look no different from the people that you're trying to fight. You're losing your moral, you're losing your moral, fucking moral high ground. If you're gonna lose your moral high ground, lose it for shit that you can actually win about. Not enforcing not enforcing your dictums of how you should see the world like you do. Use it on dirty fighting. Like fuck. Like if you gonna cash in your social credibility, like use it for like meaningful shit, not because well I want them to say shit that I want them to say. Like cool, if somebody doesn't agree with who you are, fuck them and keep going. But don't try to force this shit because you just make enemies out of people and people don't want to. And it goes back to you wouldn't want somebody to force you to be that way. So why are you requiring it from other people?
I will say that like uh, some people some people use the term woke scold to essentially like some people apply the term woke scold to literally anyone who says, "Hey, don't say that. That's insensitive."
Oh no, I wouldn't say that. That's not what I'm saying. I would actually put it on the people who are. It's one of those things where you demand that somebody should just know. it's one of those things where I've had to catch myself with, like, I'm passionate about certain shit, and when I get to the point where it's like I've taken the time to research it, I've taken the time to learn it and understand it, it gets you kind of get this era of, well, why don't you know? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And lot of people that are the woke skulls that I mentioned are, well, of course you just do what I say because it's just what you should do, and it shouldn't even be a question. And that's a dangerous attitude because that is the shit that you're complaining about for the people on the right. And it's just like, no, don't play that game. And if you're gonna play a game where people should just know, play it on their ideology. Well, don't you just what is it? What is a good example of? Well, of course we want people to have minimum wage. Don't you want people to have freedom to be able to survive for themselves and take care of themselves and not have it on the government? Versus saying, "You monster, you don't want people to live." Like it's a way of actually coming from a position of it just makes sense without seeming like an asshole.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't want to take that time and work in teaching people because, well, why should I take the time to teach you? You should just know. And
I
I don't like that attitude.
I understand. I think so. Sometimes I gotta collect my thoughts and figure out how to articulate myself. I'm not always great at doing that on the spot. I think there are certain cases where it is appropriate to shut someone down. Like, if someone says something that is bigoted towards you, then, and you say that, hey, it hurts me to hear you say that, then I feel like, you shouldn't really have to explain beyond, this is hurtful, please don't. But I also know, understand why the attitude of you should already know isn't very productive. And not everyone does have the energy to explain why something upsets them, especially if it's something they've had to explain over and over.
I get that, and here's the thing: in a lot of cases, these are people that's already made the journey,
Yeah,
and what they don't, what they think because they've already made the journey, others should have already made that journey as well.
yeah,
And that's a dangerous thing to actually say. Say, well, you should just know. Not,
yeah,
hey, this is harm, this is hurtful to me, and you know, I wish you wouldn't because that's just human decency. But there are people who literally would actually say that, well, of course they should just know, and I shouldn't have to explain myself. The I don't have to explain myself crowd of just I don't like that because it smacks of because I said so, and I
well,
would rather.
sometimes when people say they shouldn't have to explain themselves, they don't necessarily mean you should already know. Sometimes what they mean is, we live in the information age. It's extremely easy to find very simple, very explanatory breakdowns of these issues. And so, if you're someone who does want to know, then you should be seeking that out instead of, demanding an explanation from someone whom you've just hurt.
Well, it's different. That's the thing I do want to say. It is different from. It's a difference with asking someone to explain themselves, and it's just like,
Yeah,
hey, tell me how this affects you, so I can understand. That's different versus just saying, well, I'm not going to explain why I'm hurt. Like, whoa, 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 whoa. You want to spread understanding, right? You want to explain for the next person that they come across. You want to actually make sure that they are full. They, that the next person that they come across don't run into the same issue. And it's just like, and it's not just in situations of identity. And I want to actually make that really, really clear. I've seen it in just situations of like, I've seen it in situations where people don't want to explain themselves for their reasoning for like simple shit. And it's just like at a point where it's just like, that makes you look bad, right? And you get these people who literally don't want to explain like just simple stuff because people feel that they shouldn't be questioned.
Yeah.
And one of my biggest things is no one is above question, above reproach.
Yeah. I'm talking like specifically in an instance of like, I think someone should be able to say, hey, please don't do or say that. That hurts me, but I don't have like the time or energy to really go into it right now.
In questions of identity, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And the thing
Now,
about
like
it,
when it comes to incredibly simple shit that doesn't involve identity, yeah, I really hate the whole you should already know attitude. It's like the bane of my existence as someone on the autism spectrum because, we don't pick things up intuitively. Sometimes things don't really go without saying for us. That's why a lot of parents with autistic kids get advised not to use the explanation because I said so, because that's not going to be good enough for someone who's like programmed to want a real reason.
and the whole because I said so thing, it's one of the it's the laziest things in the world to me.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's just like I know that it's like I don't want to question what I'm saying. I don't want to take the time to actually like. I liken it to the scene of I don't know if you ever saw the movie Kill Bill.
Yes, I actually have.
So you know the Orang speech, right?
Which one?
Where she cuts off the dude's head.
It has been a while since I've seen Kill Bill.
Okay, so Orang, and I forgot her last name, but Lucy Liu plays her, and they're talking about how they're. She was like, oh yeah, when she became the boss of the Yakuza, she they had a banquet, and like one dude was like he had a fucking issue, and she was like, he's literally said, I don't like this half Japanese, half Chinese, woman. He didn't use the word woman, and all you see is her feet go across the table and blood splatter everywhere, and his head drop off. He's like, yo, as your leader, if you have a question about a plan of action, come to me in a respectful manner, and I will be more than happy to explain it to you. But if we bring up the conversation that was just being had about my lineage or parentage in a negative way, I take your fucking head.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I questions of identity. No, fuck. Leave that alone. Leave that the fuck alone. But again, a lot of people tie their likes or dislikes to their identity.
Oh, yeah, sometimes.
And I could never understand.
I'm gonna, uh, I'll be back. I gotta go real quick.
No problem. So Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day and peace.
What do you think that these executives are afraid you're going to do to white America?
Probably stop some racism.
Stop racism.
Yeah, they're probably afraid of that because then people don't hate each other, and people start talking to each other, and then they start talking to each other. They find out who's the problem.
Which is?
Greedy people.
Greedy. I have a couple things I want to ask you there. Do you really think that some of the guys that you dealt with at NBC, no names, right? Because there's lawsuits for that too, that some of these guys really want to promote racism actively, or is it a subconscious?
I just think it's part of capitalism, is to promote racism, you know, right? In order to make things work. If you feel better because you're white and you can get a job, you use that.